called to order. We have an agenda and we will follow as outlined. We will have the invocation by our Vice Chairwoman, Ms. Renee Joyner, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, and we will follow the rest of the program as outlined. If you do not have a program, some are out front on the desk. Ready? May we all stand?
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here to gather together, keeping us all safe as we traveled in these wet conditions. Please guide us with your wisdom as we make decisions to better our dear county. Bless our presenters as they present the material tonight, and let us ask the appropriate questions and do things to suit this county. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we're down to the second topic. Are there any additions or deletions to our agenda? Everybody good? Do I have a motion for its adoption of the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that the agenda be adopted. Those in favor, let it be known by ayes.
Aye.
Any opposes? Ayes have it. All right, we're down to number 3, our guidance for project presentations. Ms. Bremer?
The only thing that we have is there's a 15-minute, basically time limit for you, and you'll have 5 minutes for question and answers to kind of keep us online. The commission would have questions for you, if we have to gather information, it's up to you to get the information put in before they start their communications.
All right, and we are right on schedule. We have our first presentation tonight, Newberry County Water and Sewer Authority, Cannons Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant Upgrade and Extension. Mr. Brent Richardson and Daniel Quattlebaum. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be with y'all tonight, and I think I've had a chance to meet most of you over the years. And well, Mr. McClurkin, well, I'm glad I didn't spend too much time with you in your previous employment, so that's good.
It was just the right amount.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I do thank y'all for taking your time to serve. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm Brent Richardson, manager of Newberry County Water and Sewer. I have with me Daniel Quattlebaum, assistant manager, Mr. Jerry Kuhn, one of our board of directors members. So thank you for being with us, Mr. Jerry. All right. Well, I have enjoyed being with y'all to watch the presentations. We've had some great presentations, but I'm hoping none as captivating as this wastewater treatment plant expansion. You know, this is what really gets folks excited. But I think that it's one of those projects that may not be that glamorous, but it's much needed. Tonight, I'm going to go through, I think each of you have a copy of the presentation material. So we're going to start with some organizational information, some information about the wastewater system, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Quattlebaum to discuss the project need and details regarding the upgrade and expansion. Just a little information about Newberry County Water and Sewer, see if this thing works. All right, I'll just let you flip them. Yeah, yes, ma'am, I got it on. Yes, ma'am. There we go. All right. Newberry County Water and Sewer, we were established as a special purpose district in 1963. We are governed by a 7-member board of directors. We have a board member from each of the council districts throughout Newberry County. Our board members are appointed by the governor's office, and our O&M is funded solely with revenue received for services. We have no property tax revenue. We maintain approximately 65 miles of sewer line. Roughly, if you stretch that out, it'd be here to Greenville, South Carolina. We operate 40 duplex pump stations. These pump stations collect wastewater from various areas throughout the county and pump that wastewater to our Cannons Creek facility, which is on Boy Nest Road in Prosperity. We started accepting influent at the Boy Nest Road plant in 2006, and the current capacity of that plant is 950,000 gallons per day. This is a photo of one of our reactor basins at the plant. You can see this is the type influent we receive every day. This reactor basin has an aerator, 2 mixers, and a decant device. This is a photo of the water leaving the plant, going over our effluent weir structure before it heads to Cannons Creek. On most days, you would have a hard time, differentiating a bottle of that water versus drinking water. And I'm very proud of our operators. We have licensed operators through LLR that have, they're certified operators to treat our wastewater. All right, this is a map of the planned service area for the Cannons Creek plant. You can see the delineated area. It's not our total service area, just the area that is planned to be served by the treatment facility at Cannons Creek. And you can see the shaded areas there. We'll flip to the next slide. And these are just some notable customers where the wastewater is treated at the Cannons Creek plant. We have the town of Prosperity, town of Little Mountain, Drew Island State Park. We have all the schools there at Mid-Carolina, Pomeri Garmony School, Mid-Carolina Commerce Park, phases 1 and 2. Have the interchanges, I-26 at 773 and 202, Georgia Pacific Corporation, Graphic Packaging, Kisswire, Pioneer Foods, Creative Liquid Coatings, and then several organized subdivisions throughout the county, and many other residential areas. All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Quattlebaum.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us here tonight. I am Daniel Quattlebaum. I'm the Assistant Manager of Newberry County Water and Sewer. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the project need. It's hard to underestimate or understate the need for expansion and upgrade of this plant. We're seeing unprecedented inquiries into businesses and housing developments throughout our service area of this plant. And as a result, the capacity of the plant is being rapidly consumed by this development, this industrial, commercial, and residential development. I think it's important to note this plant serves the what I'll call the 773 business corridor, where you see a lot of the new industries, the Mid-Carolina Commerce Park being put into place, as well as other areas that are seeing residential development. As we are today, 60% of the capacity of the plant is allocated to the existing customers. The list that Brent was going through, among other scattered residential areas in the county. A rough projection, based on some of the inquiries we're receiving, is that 70% of the plant will be allocated by the end of 2023. This is pushing us to the edge in terms of staying ahead of the allocation. It's very important to remember that this bucket of capacity has to stay full while we're dipping out to serve others. So we can't afford to get behind the curve on expanding the plant because SCDHEC ultimately controls the construction permits that are required for a business or a community to build. And if we don't have capacity in the plant, they won't allow us or they won't issue the construction permit. It's interesting, the Central Midlands Council of Governments, based on census data, has denoted that the service area of the plant includes some of the fastest growing areas in Newberry County. And this graphic here is from the Central Midlands. This is based on the 2018 report. As you know, we're seeing just rapid growth. So this is a little bit of dated information, but we think that this is only going to accelerate further as we move forward in time. Okay, the process for upgrading and expanding the plant. As a first step in recognizing that we needed to expand, Newberry County Water and Sewer bought 42 acres surrounding the existing wastewater plant using NCWSA reserve funds. This would give us plenty of room to expand. We contracted with a professional engineer to develop preliminary plans. Based on DHEC's evaluation of the increased discharge to Cannons Creek, the results of which were used to plan the upgrade and expansion. The engineer works with us and DHEC to determine, A, can it be expanded, and yes, it can, and then how would you go about expanding it? Just a brief overview of the project site. You can see the existing plant. Cannons Creek is to the far, that'd be the right of the frame, Bornest Road to the bottom and the left. And then the plant site, it's a 59-acre site that's owned by NCWSA. It provides plenty of room for expansion while maintaining a substantial vegetative buffer around the plant in consideration of the surrounding area. Let's see. Okay. Where should I point? Maybe I'm pointing in the wrong place. Give me one. There we go. Okay. The goal for upgrade and expansion is to increase the treatment capacity to 1.5 million gallons a day. And in order to do this, the scope of the project includes an upgrade to the influent screen and grit removal system. This is sort of the first phase of treatment. This is when the stuff comes in from the world. It falls across this device as a first step. Okay. Then there will be a construction of an additional treatment basin with the equipment Brent mentioned earlier, the aeration, the mixing, and the decant device. We will expand the chlorine contact chamber. Chlorine is very important in the process. It's what kills the viruses and the bacteria. And then we'll also construct a sludge digester and dewatering equipment. One of the byproducts of sewer treatment is this sludge. It's a dirt-like material that has to be disposed of, and that's what that would do. The estimated cost of the project is $5,154,560. Okay. Your next slide is an engineered drawing of a proposed layout. This isn't final. This is a preliminary, layout showing the new basin and some of the new equipment. Some of the equipment is subterranean. It's really hard to see in a graphic. It's not very pretty, but it is what cleans the wastewater and makes it fit to discharge to the creek, protecting the environment, protecting public health, and providing a valuable service to the community. Okay, one of the questions that I've heard asked in some of these presentations is return on investment, which I think is an excellent question to ask. Return on investment, when you're talking about wastewater treatment, I mean, there's a lot of moving variables, how fast things expand, which businesses come to town, who decides to build a big housing complex. But we were able to find some information from a Duke University study that states that for every dollar spent on water or wastewater infrastructure, about $15 are created in private investment and 14 are added to the local property base. This is just a real rough estimate of the kind of return that may be received to the community if we upgrade this plant. Okay, and finally, in conclusion, we want to note that the project will provide economic benefit to the community, not only to the area, just the area that's served, but a lot of people in Newberry County that work in that area that might live in Silver Street or might live in Bush River, they come to work there with jobs provided by the developments on 773 and other areas. This plant is what services the wastewater from those job sites. Project will allow Newberry County Water and Sewer to provide for residential, commercial, and industrial development. Importantly, the project doesn't create any ongoing cost to the taxpayer. The operation and maintenance cost is funded by the customers receiving service. After it's built, hopefully with 1 cent tax money, the upkeep and maintenance and operation of it are paid by those who would have their sewer service with us. We'll take any questions or comments. Brent and I both happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the upgrade to Cannons Creek Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant.
I have a question. There's another project up of the town of Prosperity has a well rehabilitation and water storage facility up for proposal. How would, if that project was built, how would that affect your project?
Well, this is a wastewater plant expansion, so it wouldn't affect the water system at all. This is a wastewater expansion.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
But it is important to note that all of the sewer that comes out of the town of Prosperity is treated by this plant.
Yes, sir.
I guess, so it's going from 950,000
Right.
MGD or whatever,
Million gallons a day
yeah,
to 1.5.
to 1.5. So that doesn't mean much in my mind because I don't deal with that stuff. So like, what does that look like as far as population or businesses? And do you have
Sure.
some idea like how long that would last us?
Sure, I can give you a good idea. Just for an example, Kisswire, it's a major industry on US 76. Kisswire's allocation is 100,000 gallons a day. So, I mean, it can chew into capacity quickly. But, I mean, some other industries that don't use a lot of processed water may only use, 10,000 gallons a day. So residential subdivisions use 150 gallons per day per customer. So if you were looking at a 200 lot subdivision, 30,000 gallons per day. But we do anticipate that there's no way to know exactly how long it's going to last because it really it depends on the rate of growth that the development's coming in. But we would anticipate in our planning that it would take us out, into like 2035, 2040. So
You're saying that Kisswire is 150,000 gallons of sewage a day?
100,000. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's their allocation. They're not up quite to that yet, but that's what DHEC keeps a checkbook, let's say, on our sewer capacity.
Now, you're at 60% now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you can go to 90 before we have to make immediate corrections, is that right?
We have to submit a PER, I think at 85, and it would be really,
I thought it was 90.
I think it's 85, but I'll double check that. But it's,
And that's 2023 that we would be at 70%.
yes, sir.
When
Yes,
you
sir.
estimate we would be at 85%.
Well, based on the phone calls I've been getting this month, I mean, maybe 2024, so that fast. So we've got a lot of folks interested in doing business in Newberry County, and
How much of that is commercial and industry versus individual homes?
yes, sir. Right now, with our system, we have most of the inquiries are residential and industrial. We're not really that strong commercial right this minute. If you notice, most of the restaurants are up in Matt's service area up here in town. And so the hotels, restaurants, that sort of thing are closer to town. But we have got through Mid-Carolina Commerce Park 1 and 2, we're getting a lot of activity at the Commerce Park and a lot of residential activity right now. I
But
mean,
what percentage is residential compared to industrial?
In terms of flow,
the industrial's all over the place concerning flow. Like you said, we had one last week that was, 15,000, and then a Kisswire rolls in, and maybe 100. And like Kraft Foods is $1 million.
That wasn't on your list.
Yeah, well, we don't serve them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I'm saying is, when these industries are rolling in, it's really they're all over the place depends on how much processed water they utilize. Yes.
And so besides the penny sales tax, you get your money basically from the customer, right?
That's correct.
So if you were to reach capacity, is there any other way to expand besides this?
And we would have to borrow money, and the customers would pay for the bond, you know, so, yes, we would have to issue a bond.
Questions? Any other questions? No? Good.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you much.
Ready? Okay. All right, we're down to our second presentation. We see a familiar face.
Y'all
Just-
get to see me one more time after this.
All right, Town of Little Mountain, Mayor Giroux.
Thank
We're
you.
ready when you are.
Thank you, ma'am. I am Jana Giroux, Mayor of the Town of Little Mountain. And tonight, I'm going to discuss the proposal to upgrade the park entrance and restrooms that we have closest to the entrance. Before I get started, I was asked last time I was here to give everyone an idea of the park usage. The past 12 months, the ball field has been scheduled 50 times. The park has been rented 33 times. Now, that's rentals where we had people sign forms and we took in a fee. That does not count other things that go on in the park, like the school. We don't charge the school for kids going over there to play or having organized events in the park. And we have other things where we tell people, you can meet there, it's fine. If you don't want to use the restroom and pay a cleanup fee, you can meet there, just keep everything neat. We have a couple Bible studies that meet at the park. We had a church meeting there for a while, and that is not counted in that count.
Repeat
So-
those numbers for the past 12 months for
Sure.
Little League or the ball field.
50 times.
And the second number you gave?
33 times we've rented at least parts of the park the past 12 months. And the ball field with the 50 times, that does not, the county didn't use the ball field at all this year, so that does not count any county usage, which we usually have. All right. If you're familiar with Reunion Park, when you first come in and you look at where the red circle is on the graph on the board, right now it's a drive. Right now, cars are allowed to drive through the park, and we plan on eliminating that. And one of the ways is to upgrade our entrance. When I became mayor, the park had no playground equipment. We have since added several things. We've added mostly the swings that are there. We've upgraded a lot of the shelters and seating and stuff ourselves. But the entrance still needs some work. But we would like to ban any vehicles from coming into the park. We feel that it's dangerous, especially when we have kids over there playing and we have other events going on. So we wanted to improve the signage, remove that drive coming in, and instead have low walls where people could sit. We wanted to add Wi-Fi to the park, and we wanted to add playground equipment. And also right now where the entrance is what we call the Red Roof Gazebo, which is our most handicapped accessible bathrooms. We would really like to upgrade them. They're cement wall, they're very plain, with a sink and a toilet in each one. But we would like to increase the size of them, and we would like to add 2 more stalls to the handicapped accessible bathrooms.
This will make the park, we feel like, much, much safer, better amenities, and the addition of the playground equipment will really come in handy with families and rentals that we have there. Let's see, if you've got an updated, did they get the updated cost from Alliance, you can see that when we originally talked about our plans for this, we had put in a splash pad at the entrance. But myself and town council felt that we did not have the maintenance ability to keep that going. So we have eliminated the splash pad out of that. So that is not counted in the totals now, the new totals. Have any questions?
What exactly are you gonna do with the park entrance? I mean, how are you gonna change it?
We are going to remove the road, and we are going to add a stone sign that's on brick, and then we're going to have seated walls go around, so once you're in the park, you can sit on the short walls, and then later we can add other seating. But once we put in the walking trail that we're hoping to put in, that will eliminate part of the drive. And behind the walking trail would be the sign, where you could walk in, but you would not be able to drive in. And the low walls, seating, and playground equipment will offer an area right there at the entrance except for children.
That's
for
all
play.
part of the money you're trying to secure for renovation of the park entrance, correct?
Yes.
Playground as well. How high is this wall gonna be and how long?
It's for seating, it's a seated wall, so it won't be that high. And it will be on the other side of where we're hoping to put the walking trail eventually. So it'll be, it'll be varying heights because the land kind of goes down like this.
Undulating.
Yes, sir, but it won't be that high because it will be a place to sit, a place to have picnic areas along those measures within the playground, close to the playground equipment so that you can sit on the wall and observe anybody that's on the playground equipment and keep up.
That's not the purpose of a walking trail. Sit on the wall.
No, that's right. Hopefully they're walking on the walking trail.
Now, will that walking trail, will it be lighted? I see there's a cost here for electrical, but I don't see anything for lighting.
The lighting, I think, was included in the walking trail presentation I did last time.
Okay,
This is
okay.
for general lighting around the playground, from what I understood from the landscape architect that we got the plans from originally. And also, we're going to have Wi-Fi and a sound system we would like to add, so that's part of the electrical too.
It looks like we have one more to hear from you, right? Maybe after that one, we can
Put
have
it
a
all- put all four
a
of
little
them
bit of
together?
priority list or something like that.
That sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Everybody ready? Mayor Sin, you ready? Okay. All right, we are ahead of schedule, but Mayor Sin is ready. So we have our third presentation for tonight, City of Newberry expansion of City of Newberry Recreational Complex and Mayor Sin is going to be presenting to us. And we're ready when you are.
Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners. Thank you again for what you're doing. The City of Newberry is pleased to present and submit the expansion of the Newberry Recreation Complex for you all tonight. The complex is very popular in Newberry. It's off to an outstanding start and has much more potential. We want to make it a great park for Newberry County. We want to celebrate the park. It officially began right here. It was part of the 2016 capital sales tax project ballot. In fact, it was the second item listed on the ballot. I believe it played a vital role in helping the 2016 CPST pass. In fact, in the marketing that the business community did of the 2016 projects, the Splash Park and Recreation Complex pictures were prominently featured. It's something that resonated with the public, and I believe it helped lead to the passage. The park is in its third year, and it's been a big hit. It is enjoyed every day by people of all ages, from toddlers to seniors. Approximately 10,000 people visited the Splash Park in the summer of 2021. And as far as the PowerPoint, by the way, we have a copy of that for you at the end, Chair and members. So approximately 10,000 people visited the Splash Park last summer, which we were really excited about. It hosts league games for baseball, softball, and flag football. The playgrounds, fields, and trails get constant use. For all those things, we celebrate. And we thank the 2016 Capital Project Sales Tax Commission for putting this on the ballot and bringing this to fruition. I want to go back, and the slide to the right says March 15, 2016. There you go. This is an actual slide from that night. We presented the idea for a recreation complex. We said much of the CPST money initially would go towards land preparation, roads, and other infrastructure to get the park started. All right, the slide to the left is what we actually said. We said future additions and expansion. We said that night the city could apply for additions with future CPST commission. So this has been the plan all along. This is what we set out to do. The proposal is for $4,085,000, $4.085 million. This is the expansion components page from Alliance Engineering. It's shown with the largest component being the splash pad expansion at $1.2 million. A miracle field for $735,000, plus some of the other items, a new paved walking trail, a skateboard park, improvements at Hidden Lake, additional playground equipment, and much more that we will talk about. This is the expansion master plan developed by Alliance, and all the additions are in the established footprint of the recreation complex. A lot of the things we did at first were road preparation, infrastructure, as we mentioned. This time we can do more features. To highlight the miracle field, you see the 3 baseball fields on the screen. The miracle field is that little fourth piece of the pie. It's something we'd intended to do from the start, but we just didn't have the money. And so now that little piece of the pie would be the miracle field, which we're going to talk about. The skateboard park would be in the upper left quadrant there. If you've been to the recreation complex and you go all the way to the end to the cul-de-sac, that's where the skateboard park would be. The paved walking trail would be on top of the hill near the baseball fields if you've been there, and we'll talk about that. And so all of the additions are in the established infrastructure, so I think that is a good thing. The Alliance projection was for $5,160,000. We thought that was a little high, so we lowered that and removed some things to $4.85 million, and this is approximately the amount that we got in 2016. So we're asking for the same amount within $10,000 of what we got in 2016 for 2022. Now, some of the components, the most exciting for at least a whole lot of people, especially the children, is the splash park expansion. The gully washer is what we call it. It's terrific. It's really good. It's a great place for family outings. On a number of days this summer, I would walk. I'd take my steps over there and walk in the park, and you could always hear happy noises coming from the splash park. Laughter, cackles, friends shouting between each other, joy. And I think we can all remember those days growing up, days when that still ring in our mind, the great days with our friends or family. Well, those kinds of fun days and memories with friends and family are being created every day in the splash park. It also provides physical activities for children. Everybody likes water. Everybody can splash. It draws people from neighboring communities. I've talked to people from Clinton that come, from Saluda County that come. It's very popular. So that's great, but it also, sometimes it gets a little crowded, especially on the weekends. And so that's our proposal. We propose expanding the park. We're going to double the size. One mother wrote of the splash park, I'd like to mention, when my son's there, he's in heaven. This is a great addition to Newberry. All right, so this is the Alliance drawing. If you look at the drawing, what's in the foreground, which is yellow and the black, that's the current park. The pink to your left and top, that would be the additions. There are new slides. Slides are very popular. Y'all can guess if we were all young, we'd all want to slide as much as possible. There's also a new area for smaller children, kind of giving the smaller children and the bigger children a little more separation. And then we'd have to add bathrooms, new restrooms, because you're going to have more children, you're going to have to add more restrooms. So we're basically doubling the size, and we think that would be a big hit. All right. The second biggest expenditure we propose is a miracle field. This is something we wanted to do from the beginning. A miracle field is a rubberized field that eliminates barriers for children and adults with disabilities and special needs to play baseball, many for the first time. It brings joy, self-esteem, and confidence. In the fall, our city council and the staff visited the miracle field in Union, and this is a picture from that night of the players and the volunteers. The adults and children had a great time. It was just a pleasure to see. There are hundreds of miracle fields across the country, including in Union and Greenwood, and more being built in South Carolina. Now, this project is endorsed by the Newberry County Disabilities and Special Needs Board. We have a letter from the chairman, Mr. Braswell, and the board. We'll give it to you in a few minutes, and the Roof Foundation as well. In addition, Mr. Bob Jones, who's the director here tonight, we appreciate him joining us. And I do know the disabilities and special needs community is excited about this, and they would certainly work hard if it was on the ballot to get this in Newberry. You know, one thing about it, miracle fields, a lot of times, most of the time, communities have to raise money to do it. Well, this is $735,000. That would be very difficult to do in Newberry. I would think very, very difficult. Well, this is a way we could all come together and bring it to Newberry County. I think that's exciting. All right, now the miracle field, there's a few more pictures. We intend to have a league similar to other sports. Our PRT department, folks would sign up for the miracle field just like they do for football or something like that. Union has a fall and spring league, we learned. The picture on the right is when we went to Union. They just really have an impressive league, very good parent involvement. We were very impressed. A miracle league would also integrate the disabilities and special needs community with the Newberry community, which I think is a great benefit. For example, in Union, they have a buddy system, and each night, a club or school group or something like that, a church shows up, and there's a player matched up with each volunteer. And so they go to the bases with them. They might push them in the wheelchair. They go out in the field, and it's just, you know, laugh and have a nice time together. And Mr. Jones, the executive director, he talked about how valuable this is. Let's don't separate the disabilities and special needs community. Let's bring them together. And this is right in the middle of the park, which I think is really neat, that we could have playground going one place, there's a league game going another place, and there's a miracle league game at the same time. When we were there, the picture on your left, you'll see some red shirts. That was the Newberry College softball team. They happened to be there coincidentally. Coach Triplett, the softball coach, takes her team over there every year, and they just had a really nice time. And I was proud to be from Newberry, and the Newberry College softball team was volunteering in Union. And I asked Coach Triplett, should we build one of these in Newberry? And she said, absolutely. The miracle field would have many advocates on an election day, in addition to the letters from the board and the Ruth Pugh Foundation. The special needs community has a petition with 123 signatures that we're going to present to you in a few minutes, asking for it to be commissioners to include the expansion with the Miracle League. And looking at the petition, I found it quite moving myself. So it's something that I think the community would rally behind, and we're excited about. There are a lot of other good features we plan with this proposal. One I like particularly is a paved walking trail. We have walking trails now, but there's no dedicated paved walking trail. There's a nature trail, which is chips. Quite frankly, not everyone's comfortable walking on chips. There's also walking just through the ballparks and things. But again, I think a lot of us who walk like a dedicated walking trail. So this would be that. It would be convenient to the complex and parking lots. I took the picture on the right. If you're coming in, if you've been to the park, that's the road coming in on your right, like you're going to the splash park. This is the splash park is right behind when I took this picture, and the walking trail would be on top of that hill. And we'd go out to the other parking lot. You could walk and come back and just have a nice walk. One thing I like about that, too, is that while one child might be at a game or ball practice, an adult could be walking and getting their steps in. And y'all know that walking is the most popular exercise for older adults like me. It also helps reduce heart disease, lung functions, and has many other health benefits. And it's good for mental health and reducing anxiety. And so I think one thing I like about this proposal, one of the many things is it's going to be fun for children, but also have benefits for adults and our community health at large. hidden lake improvements. We are glad to have the lake there, and it's off to a very nice start. We'd like to have more use out of it with a new fishing dock. This is clip art in that picture, but we would have a fishing dock that I think would be enjoyable to walk out on or fish off on. A new aerator fountain. It would promote more usage in outdoor recreation, and a beautiful outdoor setting like this is, you read, will be calming, reduce stress, and good for mental health. And so we want to add to the hidden lake. It's neat to have a pond that's a community-owned and get more usage out of it. All right, skate park. Now, this is a new idea that we're excited about. Skateboarding is increasingly popular. In fact, it is now an Olympic sport. Locally, it's an underserved community. Our council, I know City Council's heard from a lot of skaters in Newberry. It's more and more popular. You may have seen that in town. They kind of find their own places to skate, or a lot of times they have to go out of town. So it's an underserved community, one we think needs serving, because it has health benefits just like other sports. This would be a beginner to intermediate skate park. We just use clip art there. You can see it's kind of simple, but we think this is a beginner community, and talking to local skaters, that's what they believe. It would attract locals and people from neighboring communities, and would have many advocates on election day. I want to see if our skateboard community is here. They have. We started a little bit early, but they stepped in. Zeke Moore is here, and Zeke heard about this. He's a Mid-Carolina senior, I believe, and he got all excited, which I admire as a high schooler, and he has 167 signatures on a petition we're going to present to you all in just a few minutes, that people advocating for a skate park. I just asked them to stand, please, that they have gotten involved, which I appreciate as young people, Philip too, that they would advocate for a skate park, and they would get involved civic and locally. And so I appreciate y'all coming tonight and having the petition. All right, additional features. We have a lot of good other features as part of this proposal. Shelters, we have shelters now. They are very popular for birthday parties, reunions, just get-togethers, and so we need some more shelters, so we would add 3 shelters. The playground expansion, I was talking to 2 different grandparents in the last week, and they told me how much they enjoy taking their grandchildren just in the spring to the playground. We need to expand it a little bit, add some swings and other items, so we're going to expand the playground. Shade, y'all know Newberry County gets hot, South Carolina gets hot, so we've had a request for shades around the bleachers and things like that, so you're sitting in a game, you just can enjoy it a little bit better. Also, some things we need internally, such as a storage building and a maintenance road, and more restrooms. A mother was telling me they had a play date out there the other day with another family, and they identified that we need more convenient restrooms, and she is correct on that. Another feature in the top right picture is the hunting cabin that the property came with. It's kind of neat that we have that right on the pond. We would pave the road down to the pond, and we have dirt parking that's not real easy to get to necessarily, or easy if you're maybe a little bit older. So we would pave the little parking lot, so we'd have better parking beside the cabin. I think over time that has a great opportunity for education, for nature. That it's not part of this proposal, but we have more features around the cabin and the pond, that it could be a lot of good nature education for probably our elementary and middle schoolers, maybe even our high schoolers. So those are just some additional features we intend to add under this proposal. Operations and maintenance, good news there. City staff will continue to operate and maintain the facility. The city has general funds and hospitality and accommodation tax revenues available, so we can do that as we have been doing in the past. In closing, the expansion of the Newberry Recreation Complex, it will be a great park with something for everyone. When we started thinking about the recreation complex, probably about 2014, we said, look, we just didn't want to have a good baseball park, which is fine. And some towns just have good baseball parks. We wanted something for everyone, and that's what we set out to do, and this would really allow us to do that, we believe. It will be good for physical and mental health from our youth to our seniors. It will enable county residents to be more active and fit. It will be a first-class home for all types of recreation. You would really have a gamut of things to do at this park. It will bring more people and money to the community. We brought 10,000 last year just for the splash pad. The park brings people to town. It brings people to the Wilson Road area. It brings people to downtown. That's where a lot of sales tax revenue is generated. All right, so if we bring more people to town, it's going to generate more tax revenue to pay for this version. And then hopefully by 2028, there's another version. It will even help it grow, and we'll have more money for the commission to look at. It will enable us to better compete with our neighboring counties and cities. Crooked Creek, of course, and Chapin's a great park. Well, we in Newberry will have a great park as well. It will be used for economic development. I know the economic team for the county and the city, they promote that we have a nice recreation complex to help attract employees. We feel that's been beneficial. And then we believe it will have broad appeal on Election Day. The recreation complex is widely popular. It will have many advocates, a couple I've mentioned here tonight, and we'll have many positive stories that can be told in preparation for the November vote. We believe it can be one of your strong flagships for the 2022 CPST, just like it was in 2016. Short term, it will help the CPST get passed. Long term, it will have a great positive effect on the county and its citizens. We appreciate y'all's consideration of this project.
Can you go back to where we had the
Prices?
proposed project laid out? No,
Okay.
the actual, the pink and the yellow.
Yeah, one's the splash
Right there,
part.
right there.
Mhm.
That's just the splash part.
That's right, with the yellow and the black being the existing splash pad, and then the pink, I call it, above that and to the left is the additions. And then the pink on the little squares are restrooms.
So where is Miracle Field?
Okay, go back, please, Jeff. Mr. Wicker, appreciate Mr. Wicker helping me say this. And I might have to get closer, Madam Chairman, I can't quite see that far. But you see the little pies, the 3 baseball fields.
Okay.
Those existing. See the little one in that 4th quadrant, that 4th piece of pie?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Miracle Field. And so that's really just down the hill from the splash park.
All the items listed, which do you think has priority?
Well, I would say the splash park.
That's your number one item on your
I think it's the number one item. I found it, the splash park got 10,000 people to come last summer. So I think it's a priority for the county. I believe the whole project is. I think it's a vote getter. It appeals to all different ages of people, all demographics. We've already cut the amount to the same amount we got last time on this project. So I think that it has appeal throughout all the different elements.
The walking path, how far would it be?
I don't have that. I'm guessing a half mile, maybe round trip.
Is it a loop or a down
We
and
don't have
back?
that designed yet. And it's not on this drawing. One thing you do with these is you just get some roughness. I would like it to be a loop.
Yes.
One thing we talked about, we cut out
No one
was.
likes the down and back.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
I said, no one wants to go down and back. You gotta make a loop.
So I would expect it to be a loop. But we just roughed it in with Alliance.
Kind of a similar question, which you may not have an answer to, but on the skate park, and like my theory in life is like, might as well do things like well and good the first time. So like who would be involved in helping plan that so that it was actually something the skaters like?
Well, my idea, and again, we haven't gone very far with this, but I know Philip Taylor, for example, he has advocated a lot of towns get professional builders, and there are 3 or 4, for example, he's identified that I pass along, that have done projects like in Florence and Spartanburg. So I would hope we could do that, and that's what I would aim for. We've really not had that discussion. When you're doing this alliance,
Yeah.
you're kind of roughing it in. But what they do is what you're talking about. They hold meetings in a community, invite the skateboard community, and say, look, what do you want? And I believe they would say, beginner to intermediate, let's get started and grow with it. So I'm with you. I would advocate for a professional, not just us going out and eyeing it or something like that.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the one at Owens Field?
I have. Now, they tell me it's kind of
y'all?
hard.
Do you?
They've been to all of them.
Okay. Do y'all like the part that's the pump? The pump track? Is that like appealing, or do you like the, they have the 2 separate?
Normally when I go there, I see a lot of kids there on like bikes or scooters. There are a lot of people over there.
My experience, yeah, it's used more by bikers or by people just trying to go fast.
Like the BMX bike. And the ones
On the
that
pump.
skaters on the pump.
And you like the park, like the bowl, whatever, they're half pipes and stuff like that? Just curious.
And one thing I was told, that like that park's a little hard. is what I was told. And a Newberry Park would be more beginner's park to intermediate, since we're kind of rookies.
Yeah.
Not these folks, but broadly.
So, Mayor, you've cut the price. How much are you willing to cut?
That
More.
was going to be my question. What is? the
Right. What
things
are
that
your
you
what are
can
your
cut
priorities?
out?
You know,
Yes.
this is the same amount we got last time.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, but
number
you're,
one. Number two, I mean, we will be glad to get what we can.
Okay,
At the
okay.
same time. But, I mean, you know, the city of Newberry brings a lot of things to the table, in my opinion. We bring a lot of usage to this park. In fact, when we named it, we did not call it the City of Newberry Park. We wanted it to be everybody's park. We called it the Newberry Recreation Complex. We chose not to make it the City of Newberry Park and name it. That was intentional. So we consider this a community park, a county park. Some of these young men, for example, I believe are from Mid-Carolina, several of them. I would expect we'd get people from all over the county for the skate park. The disabilities and special needs is a key component. They attract people from all over the county. I know the Splash Park attracts people from all over the county. It's going to get more by making it better. And then I would still like some things like a walking trail for old people like me to be able to walk.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but you've got the walking section out there already, but you want to put another one that's paved.
Correct. There's a nature trail that goes around the park.
Right.
And it's chips, and that a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. It's also kind of down
Right.
in the pond. This
Been there, yeah.
This walking trail is prominent. It's up. I think from people, both for the surface being smooth and then just being prominent out there in front of everybody, I think they'd feel safer as well in all aspects.
And you don't want to prioritize?
We'd have to go back to the screen. I mean, I don't know how much, you know, you're looking to cut type thing. I mean, that's a little bit hard, but obviously, you know, we would like the splash pad and we would like the miracle field. And I believe the skate park is important. I believe the walking trails are important. Shelters. I mean, all those things are used. I mean, this is a broadly used. I find it hard to believe that this is one of the most popular places in Newberry County, one of the most used. Seems like to me, you know, capital project sales tax, it should go to, if nothing else, the things that are used and popular. And that should not be the things that we cut and then cut some more and cut some more. I don't know that I could sign up for that.
Which, under like the itemized things, where does the walking trail fall?
And this was Alliance's language, but it was a connector trail, sidewalk, and
Okay.
nature trail. The
That's-
nature trail was going to be, we had an arboretum. This was my baby. I was so excited to have a horticulture garden with trees and plantings that we don't always see, and that was one of the things we cut out. So we cut out the arboretum, and they left the language of nature trail on there, but that was going through my arboretum that is on the cutting room floor.
that's number
Refresh my memory.
is-
The disabilities park that is on
Okay.
Nance Street, that, you know, we had a lot to do with. What kind of field is that at that particular facility?
On Nance Street.
Yeah, it's where we
Hope.
did the shed and,
Hope. Hope. The Hope Park. Hope.
The Pride Park?
Off Dixie Drive. Pride. I'm calling it Hope.
yeah.
That's
Hope Park.
Oh, that's Bob's facility.
That's not
I'm sorry, that's not city.
It's not the city.
Actually, private,
Uh-huh. Right.
foundation has that we opened up to the community as well.
Well, I thought it was open to all of the community all of the time. Is that not right?
It is primarily, it is the property of the Roof Foundation, part of the Disabilities Board. However, we open it up to the community and weekends to everybody.
What kind of field do they have there? Is it a miracle field like,
No, it has a walking track, it has a picnic shelter, it has a volleyball court. We're hoping to expand, to add some Special Olympics type activities there.
sure, thank you.
Yeah, a miracle field is rubberized concrete,
I
so there's no, it's great for wheelchairs, for example. And that's one of the things we saw in Union, was using a lot of folks who had wheelchairs, and they can enjoy it. Well, we appreciate y'all's consideration, Madam Chairman. You know, we're glad to have whatever y'all decide. But we think those pieces are essential. The ones I highlighted, the splash park, the Miracle Field, and those type main features are certainly something we would prioritize. But we would like to think that the whole thing gives us something for everybody, and it will appeal to everyone throughout. Not only appeal, but their health benefits and mental health benefits throughout.
Okay. All right.
All right, thanks, y'all. Time we have some.
All right.
If that's it, we have some
Any more questions? I think we're good. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
We're going to give you the presentation and then the 2 petitions
Okay.
and the letters from Disabilities and Special Needs. And
Thank you. More
Mr. Zeke
paperwork.
Moore's petition from the skateboard community.
That was on
We thank y'all for
34
coming.
bypass,
Yes,
I
sir.
think. So, yeah, now that I think about it.
Thank y'all very much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to ask them, how many of them registered to vote?
Yeah.
Okay,
More reading material.
more reading material, okay.
Oh. Handwriting. Good Lord.
Having been at that park,
It's Mayor J. Rose.
feels like a mile.
What a surprise.
And their trail right now is not cool at all. It's
Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice facility.
Get out the way.
yeah.
It's,
I think some.
Y'all ready? All right. And we have that familiar face back with us again. Mayor J-Ra, go ahead.
All right, thank you. And I would like to reiterate what Foster said. I will be super excited with anything, okay? I will be so happy with any kind of funding for anything. It would just be fantastic. This is the last part of the project. We have a barbecue pit right now in the park, and if you look at it, it's in section 7 on the master plan. It, needless to say, is not used that much. It's pits, and it's the big, long pits where you can put the great big grills, and you can, put half of a pig on it and stuff, and that is just not used very much anymore with other conveniences that go on and other types of food and food trucks and everything. There is just not that much call for the big open barbecue pits. So we would like to renovate those. Attached to the pits, there is a section where it has windows where you can open up and serve food through the windows. I don't think any of that has been changed. The pits were upgraded in the 90s, early 90s, but the rest of it I think is pretty much the same. It's been since 1974, 5, right in there somewhere. We would really like to upgrade that. We would like to make it more secure. Right now, it just has a wooden door that you pull open. We would like to upgrade it to where the windows open and close, where we can have more security, where we can have more electricity, so we could put in refrigeration units. Right now, it has a sink and a hot water heater, and the hot water heater keeps tripping the electrical. So we really need to upgrade that. That would be nice. We would like to move it just a little bit and make it into a more useful space, particularly with the number of rentals we have for the park, a place where you can put food in a refrigerator, a place where you can store stuff to make it cold. It would really come in handy to have refrigerated units there during the Little Mountain reunion, particularly right now when we have the beer truck. We have to have another truck just to keep things cold, like our ice and beer that we're getting ready to sell. We have other people there who, with stuff they're trying to sell, and they're always looking for just a cool spot to put something for a few hours. So that would help tremendously. Next to, if you look at number 7, you can see the barbecue pit is the longer one going left to right. The long one going up and down, that is our current picnic shelter where there are 5 bathrooms right now, one of them being a family bathroom. That is pretty much the same that it's been since '76. We would really like to upgrade that. We need a new roof on it. We would like to expand the size of it. We would like to increase the number of picnic tables out there, and we would like to add a deck on the back. If you look at where it is, and if you're looking at the plans, to your left of the long up and down, it goes down a very steep hill, and there's a stage. And we would like to add on to the back of the picnic shelter a deck for anyone with wheelchair or or anybody with strollers, anything like that, so they can view the stage without being so close to where we have this big drop at the end of the picnic area. So we're hoping to add, we would like to add that. And then on the other side, if you look at the white area, that is currently parking. We need to upgrade that for handicap parking. Right now, we have, I think, 5 spaces, and it would be really nice to have 10 in that area. So that's mostly what this is to renovate the smokehouse, to increase the size of the picnic shelter and upgrade it, to upgrade the restrooms, and add the handicap seating to the back so that it'll be easier to view the stage for anybody who has walking or ambulatory problems. I think, have my upgraded cost on this. The cost on this one, I think, is almost $1 million with the changes from Alliance. It's adding curb and gutter, adding asphalt on some of the areas so that it will be easier for anyone on a wheelchair. And it also has landscaping and irrigation included in it. All right, so you want to talk about the whole plan?
I have one question. You said the barbecue pits aren't used now, so then what's going to happen to them to make them more useful?
We can remove the pits,
remove them.
basically, and we'll be left with a cement floor that we could fill in where the pits were, that I don't think would be that hard to fill in. But it would give us a long cement floor area. But it has, we are in the fastest growing area of the county, and even though we're very small, we have a lot of people moving in. Upgrades to the park in any fashion would be really wonderful to have. It not only builds a sense of community to be able to have things going on in the park, but it also helps out with recreation for young children, elderly, and as Foster also said, walking, being able to go outside and move around. And having the ball field is great. We would really love to see the amphitheater, because that would be wonderful. And
You said last week that your number 1 priority is the walking trail with the large shelter renovation.
yes, ma'am, that would be
That's your
great.
number 1. What
Yes.
about 2? Can you prioritize?
Sure. Number 1 is the walking trail.
Okay,
And number 2 would be the entrance, and then the barbecue smokehouse renovation, and last would be the amphitheater, because that actually has the furthest to go with that
okay,
site.
so number 2 was your first project tonight, the entrance with the playground, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And what was number 3 again, Mayor?
Number 3 was the barbecue smokehouse, the one I just got through talking about, sir. And then the last one is the amphitheater. Like I said, the amphitheater would be wonderful, but its site, needs a lot of work to get further, closer to that goal. It's still very rough in that area, because those are the lots that we recently purchased.
And the costs are correct on here, not on the front of the things. Okay.
The yellow numbers that highlighted are
Okay.
the most up to date that we
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think we're good.
That's it.
Thank you.
Oh, well,
you, ma'am.
thank you for putting up with me 4 times.
We enjoyed it.
I would absolutely be very grateful for anything, and I appreciate y'all serving. I know today serving in government's kind of a mixed bag. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a honorable chair.
Smartest law enforcement man around.
You see the smile on my face, don't you?
Hadn't seen that in a while.
37 years ago.
All right. Everybody good? Sheriff?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Sheriff's Office in the county. Well, thank y'all for serving on the commission. I know everybody's mentioned that, but your past commissions have done so much good for this county. And just as a note, the main project y'all approved last time was an integral part in the incident at Columbiana Mall, 800 megahertz radio system. That played a critical role in the incident that took place at Columbiana Mall this weekend. So your funds do go a long way. Unlike a lot of these other projects that have been presented, the project I'm gonna present is not a pretty project. In fact, everybody's baby is prettiest, but this is not a pretty baby. Nobody really wants to build a jail, and nobody wants to put money in a jail, but it is a needed piece of community infrastructure that is required in the Constitution of the state of South Carolina for a county to provide a jail. It's not a project that's going to bring tourists to town. It is not a project that is going to bring anybody joy and fun. But it is a project that we have to have. We also don't have anybody to come lobby on our behalf. We just have to tell you what the circumstances are. But I will tell you that if we do not have a safe community, if you don't have a place to live in that is safe, no industry is going to want to come here. Nobody's going to want to come participate in any kind of projects here. And no industry is really going to want to come here unless we have a safe community. Now, we do have a reasonably safe community, but we want to keep it that way. Jail's not something anybody wants to build because it is very expensive. It's kind of like building special structures that are regulated, like hospitals, because they are regulated heavily by the alphabet agencies of VHEC, SCDC, State Fire Marshal's Office, and the United States Department of Justice. They're heavily regulated. In fact, we get inspections several times a year that look at our building to determine where we are. It's a small town that we operate. It has to have a health care provided, and that's within the walls or the building. It also has to have food service. In addition, we have to provide other things like mental health and other well-being and safety items. The Newberry County Detention Center was completed in 1978. At the time when that building was built, it was more like the jail in Mayberry than it is for today's modern jails. There have been minor modifications and updates to the jail since the 1978 completion. Most of the major updates were made in 2004 that added a booking area, female dormitories, and inmate labor dorm. In the 2019 project, most of the renovations were cosmetic in nature, and it also added and worked on the collapsed infrastructure of water and sewer. The jail is something that is used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. It never closes. It's people in and out. There are people that live in there all the time, and there are people that work there as well. That causes a lot of wear and tear, a lot of use of the infrastructure. You just imagine the number of toilet flushes that take place in a jail at any time in a day, which things wear out. It's only a matter of time before we have to build a jail. As I mentioned, we have inspections that are taking place by the alphabet agencies, and we get documents that tell us what we're deficient in. And a lot of the deficiencies only would be corrected with building a new facility. I do believe this project is worthy of the capital project sales tax because it is a project that services every single community in Newberry County. The county jail, or the Newberry County Detention Center as we call it, it services all the municipalities as well as an unincorporated area, and the state. If a crime is committed in Newberry County, it's a state law enforcement agency such as SLED, Bureau of Protective Services, Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol. Newberry County Jail is where they end up being processed and housed. I think it's even more worthy to use this money because the jail is expensive to build. It's not like building a regular building. You have to have heavy-duty everything because of the volumes that we handle. And I think it'd be better to use a penny sales tax to do it rather than put it on the backs of real property taxpayers. But one day, we're going to have to do this. I can't tell you much about return on investment other than safe neighborhoods. And it will reduce the liability on taxpayers because the jail is a huge liability. It's probably one of the largest liabilities that you'll face as a government, of getting sued or having something drastic happen. Now, a new jail, complete jail facility would probably cost $20 million. But we've come up with a plan that Captain Floyd is coming up to present right now. It's kind of going to be innovative. It's going to give us a new housing unit that takes the inmates out of the conditions they are in now into a safer condition and a safer condition for the employee. We currently use a lot of open dorm space, which is not safe for the inmate. It's not safe for the individuals that are working in there. But even though the core facility of the building, such as the kitchen, the medical facility, and the administration, the booking areas, even though those are old, we can re-task those on the present site. So we wouldn't have to go out and look for a site because nobody wants a jail built in their community. It's really not something somebody wants in their backyard. And of course, the area that we are in now is built up. When it was put there in 1978, that was not a very big area. Oklahoma Foods was out there, which is now Lewis Rich. Oklahoma Foods was a small turkey plant. Excuse me. And Owens, Illinois, which was the box plant, which is now closed. That was basically all that was in that neighborhood. But it grew up over the years, and it kind of grew up and grew around the jail. So it has been there. But we've come up with what I consider an innovative plan to reutilize parts of the jail and change the housing project that is most critical that we have right now. So at this time, I'd like to call Captain Floyd up and let him present the overview of what it is and what we'd like to do.
Thanks, Sheriff. All right, so I'm basically going to give you information about the new jail addition and its potential. Instead of getting a brand-new jail, we're going to see what we can do with some money to be able to keep going forward and meet SCDC requirements. Provide information on how this goal can be accomplished. So SCDC inspectors are the first to point out that we have a gross lack of separation cells. Reasons why we need the separation cells, they're going to include charges, like we can't put murderers in the same classification as somebody that's coming in for a DUI or coming in for a simple possession, a minor violation. You don't want them in the same, especially with open dorms. That's not a very good feasibility to keep somebody safe. So charges, mental health, disabilities, you'll hear a lot of mental health. That's something we're seeing a lot of. Disabilities, disciplinary, quarantine reasons. We have a total of 20 cells. That's it. That's the only amount of cells that we've had. And they're used for separation. Those are including our holding cells. Those are not supposed to be housed in. We do have to house people in holding cells for extended periods of times, mainly mental health, but that's what we have to do. Isolation, that's another dorm. Flex, which is our female max, maximum security. We have 10 cells on our maximum security hallway. At one point in the last couple of years, we had 10 inmates that we couldn't house anywhere else but max. That's something rare for this county and the sheriff's office in the city. We've always done a real good job about getting our people. So they are coming in to us. We expect it to come in. If the crime happens, we expect to house. And we do, but we need more cells, and we don't have this. This new addition will bring 83 beds. That's going to be 35 single cells and then 24 double cells, which will, right now we have 20 cells altogether. This would be 59 cells. So you can see the amount of drastic difference. This will allow us to close our current pretrial dorms, our maximum security dorms, our isolation dorms, our flex dorms, our female dorms. We would move them all into this new addition. So every pre-sentenced inmate would be there, okay? We would shut down the rest of the jail, essentially, except for the new booking and, well, I say new, it's almost 20 years old in 2 years, but that would be the newer section of the jail. We would still use that. And perimeter fencing. The minimum standards that apply, there are many of them that list why we have to have separation for different things that I've already talked about with the disabilities, mental health, the quarantine issues, the charges, the disciplinary issues, all of those things. These are the actual minimum standards that apply that says we have to be able to do this. And if we can't, we're out of compliance, and that is a huge liability. 90% of all of our use of forces in Newberry County Detention Center occur with inmates that are mentally ill. It's over and over and over when we have to deal with them. We have to feed them. We have to change their clothes. We have to do these things. And when we come in contact with some of these mentally ill, until we can get them under control with our mental health services, which may not happen, but we'll give it our best shot. We are getting combative individuals. Lack of separation cells can cause an increased risk of liability to the county due to an unsafe environment for inmates. So if we're putting in individuals that are unsafe with inmates and they get hurt, that is a liability that we face. One area in Newberry County Detention Center gets penalized during SCDC inspection is the lack of separation cells, and that is the main one. Cells are used to abide by minimum standards. These are guidelines by SCDC to govern local detention centers. Cells are used to keep inmates separated. Reasons for separation lies in the safety for this facility, the staff, and the inmates. Classification of the inmates based on behavior and charges. Co-defendants in a case, got to be able to keep them separated. We need more than
This new design has 7 different dorms that we would be getting. So we would be able to do a better job with housing co-defendants. The need to separate due to the type of crime, relatives of a victim in the detention center, mental health issues, medical needs. Just because you may have a disability doesn't mean you cannot commit a crime. We do have to house for that. Open dorm issues. So this is a picture of our pretrial dorm right now. Our pretrial dorm holds 40 inmates. It's A side and B side. They're connected by walkways, open doorways. No way to isolate inmates if there's an infectious outbreak other than moving them throughout other areas of the jail. That was not good when we were having COVID, and we did a great job. We have a great nursing staff. Our employees are unbelievable, and I feel like we did a really good job with the COVID situation. Even though we weren't built for it, we still did good. Inmates stealing from other inmates, that's something that we have to deal with. If everybody was in a cell, that's less you would have to deal with. Higher risk officers that patrol an open dorm, there's 40 people in this dorm when it's full. Can it hold more than that? Oh yeah, it can hold more than that, but that's 40 people. When one officer walks through, that's 40 people, 40 individuals that they have to deal with at the same time. Due to constant movement in the dorm, it is easier for issues to go unnoticed or for inmates to try to escape. Lack of separation for disciplinary issues. In this new radial style with the cells, it'd be easier. This is more pictures of the pretrial dorm. They have a day room. That's the picture on the right side of the screen. Their bathroom, they share 2 toilets on each side and 2 showers on each side. This is the female dorm. It's an open dorm as well. We have 12 beds there. It's 4 sets of 3 stacked bunk beds. Then they have their own shower and day room as well. Flex unit, we mainly use this for female maximum security. However, it's flexible. We can put males in there if we don't have any maximum security females. You can only house one gender at a time, of course, but we can use this for males when the population requires that. These are maximum security cells inside. This is our maximum security. It's 1 hallway with cells on each side. There are 10 cells there. That's it. We don't have any more. Once those are full, we'll stack them 3 deep in there. That's not good, but we can do that, and we've had to do this. This is our current jail layout. If you notice how long and lengthy that is, for you to get from booking all the way to females. You cannot see the laser. I can point right here. So here's our booking. The call for help's a female, they gotta come all the way to here. Okay? The new building, you'll see over here, will be right here. It's gonna be the same distance, if not a little bit less. And then you already have officers stationed in this full-time and stationed here full-time. These would be the only 2 buildings with inmates, besides your workers that would be in the kitchen. So the current jail layout is called a linear style. With this style, everything is in line, which can make response times to the incidents longer based on the location of the responding officers. Open dorms and long hallways cause life safety issues for both officers and inmates. There's a lot of empty and wasted space with this layout. This style jail makes it easier for an inmate to create an escape plan. Due to the layout of the jail, the inmate only has 2 choices of direction inside the jail. Once that's decided, the plan can go. Prospective jail addition layout. So this building would be, this is the bottom layer. It'd be, actually, this is the top layer to give you a better idea of how the tower is. It would be centrally located tower that can watch over all 7 dorms at one time. One officer can watch all 7 dorms. There would also be cameras, and then you could have other officers roving to go into each dorm to address any issues that we have. And it'd be a whole lot easier to break up problems and move from dorm to dorm. Increased security. This building will have 7 dorms, increased separation cells, So at nighttime, everybody goes into their cells. If it's in maximum security, everybody would be in their cells the whole time, except for certain times when you would be let out. Increase security in general population by changing from an open dorm layout to double and single cells along walls and central day room. Increase protection from the spread of disease like COVID-19. Decreased response time to incidents with new jail addition. Increased in potential to acquire federal contracts. Increase in security with an upgraded perimeter fencing system. Studio 8 architects used a concept design that would be a modern approach to the new detention center. This design uses current property and building as a support building. Like the sheriff said, we would still be using our booking and our public works dorm. We'd be using our laundry. We'd be using our kitchen. They would still be servicing the new building, so we wouldn't have to add those like in a new jail would come with. Our admin offices would stay the same. That's less cost for the taxpayers. We're trying to get something for a budget that we can afford.
Officer Floyd, you've gone over your time.
Okay.
Can you kind of wrap it up for us?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so support building, I think I've kind of went over that just a second ago. So this is the concept drawing. So we would have to reroute the driveway, but we could still utilize the sally port and the deliveries to the kitchen. We get trucks in every week, multiple trucks. So we want officers to still be able to go in and go out. This would, there we go. This would be as minimal as we could do with a new driveway system and still make it work. But I think this is a concept that does work, being able to get a semi-truck and trailer in there to make deliveries, as well as officers being able to move in and out with a new building on site. This is additional housing. It would be almost 18,000 square feet, single and double cells, meeting the standards instead of us failing the inspections every year after year after year. That does not look good if somebody requests that. Total estimated cost of new jail addition in the radial style seen in the previous slides is estimated at $8 million. We're requesting funding from CPST. We think that would be a good solution to this problem. Any questions?
You pointed out that you were going to use the current booking, and you pointed out where the new building would be. What will you be doing with that space that you said would no longer be used? What's the plan for that?
We would just shut down those dorms. We would use it as storage. We wouldn't be able to use those locking mechanisms for the most part because we would have to go with a new system. Those systems are from the 70s. We would probably have to just use that as storage and close that section off.
And hopefully in the future, if we got this, we're gonna locate on this site and we expand, then you would demolish that and use that area instead of having to just pick up everything and move to another area. We wouldn't demolish it now, but in the future, it would be demolition.
We would still have to utilize the hallways, but not the dorms that are off of them.
You know, I appreciate the job y'all do. It's a great thing here in Newberry. My question is, this is a temporary holding jail, isn't it? I mean, after the people are tried, they go to the state prison, don't they?
That's correct.
And in reference to the thing, if you had the cell occupancy, what is the cell occupancy on a day-to-day basis? What does it average out? 60, 70%?
Well, we'll look at it in two fashions, if we may. Pre-COVID, we were holding over 100.
Yes, sometimes over 100.
Post-COVID,
More updated.
you know, we're up to about 80 that we hold, which we call average daily population. And that average daily population can expand. So you got 80 in jail and you bring in over a 24-hour period, X number of people, that goes up. Then there are people constantly getting bonded or people constantly getting moved and sentenced to move on to other jails.
you had speedier trials, could you reduce your prison population more rapidly?
Yes, sir.
And you could absolutely reduce the amount of money that you are requesting if you had adequate space by Speedy's trials.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I think Newberry County works with the Solicitor's Office, the city of Newberry, the county of Newberry. The two municipalities that do bring people in, probably better than any other county in the state with being able to move individuals and getting them in front of judges and getting them either sentenced to small amounts of time, whether it's municipal or magistrate's court, or getting them sentenced to prison. I would say Newberry County does an unbelievable job
But
working with them.
there's one fallback on that problem. We have nothing to do, nobody in the county, county council, sheriff's office, we have absolutely nothing to do with how fast somebody can get a trial because we do not schedule the courts. The court administration out of Columbia schedules the courts.
Well, you know, that would be an issue for McMaster's to, you know, to handle that a little bit more expediently, I think. But I think y'all do a great job. I mean, what I've seen, I've never frequented your job. I hadn't been there for a week or a day. But one of the things that amazed me about it is you read the paper about what you're dealing with, shootings and, you know, drugs and things of that nature. And it just amazing me. How many jailbreaks have you had in a year?
Since
Lord,
I've
I
been,
don't-
Come on, you can tell me now. How many jailbreaks have you had in a year?
Probably since I've been sheriff, and that's over 30 years, I can't recall, but about 3.
My granddaughter says you get your man every time. 3,
Captain
that's,
Floyd.
that's pretty
She
good.
might be a
right?
little
Captain
biased.
Floyd. Captain Floyd, can you go back to this slide?
While you're going back to that slide, we got it up for 8 million. We might be able to, I know y'all have asked people, could they reduce? We might be able to, could reduce that some. 8 million's, I wouldn't say it's ideal. I mean, it would actually, we probably could use bigger and more space, but 8 million, but we actually could use, between 6 and 8 million, you might be able to make it work. The last thing I'd ask before you ask your question, Ms. Tolan, is if you like and want to come out there and see what kind of shape that place is in, we're more than happy to let.
I don't want you to keep me, no.
let Roy come. No, we definitely wouldn't keep you, but we'd let Roy come give a guided tour of the place, or.
I'm kind of like Sheriff, I'm done with that. That might give me some bad memories. So I'm trying to stay happy now, so I'll let you do it.
But you're welcome to come out and take a look. You know, collectively or individually, if you'd like to do it, we'd be happy to show it to you. All right, thank you.
Can you explain to me this walkway? I'm a little confused on that.
yes.
How are you gonna get from here to there? It
So-
says a covered walkway.
It is a covered walkway. The walkway is actually already there.
Okay.
We would have to cover it. We call that the dog run right now. This jail, being built in the 70s, actually used to have a dog run where a dog was actually put out. It was a double-line fence. There's only a certain section of the corner that's left with the double-line fence that's still there. But this is, being a double-line fence in between there, it is actually still called the dog run, and that's where all the inmates get released at this point. They walk out to the parking lot, and then they go to the front parking lot from there. We would utilize this, so that connects right to where the kitchen door is. So we would be able to get the food to this new building with the same walkway that we would have to walk them. And that distance isn't any greater than what we normally would walk an inmate down to a female dorm.
And if you're familiar with just the area, if you're standing in Lewis Rich Drive and you'd be looking at the jail, the new addition would be to the left, behind the fence. It's a slight incline on a hill between there and Tom Abraham's office and the Little Cricket, or whatever they call it now. But it's in that area right behind the employee parking lot. We're able to utilize that area to the design of it.
And if it didn't receive CPST funding, it would basically just be put on the taxpayers anyway, right?
Yep.
Because it's gonna have to be.
Exactly.
You know, it eventually comes, it's CPDST funding, which people passing through help pay, and everyone who's here help pay. You know, kind of a sad analogy, but if they come into the baseball park and they buy something in the store, they help pay for this. But otherwise, it would go on, eventually have to go on your residential property.
And it sounds like by doing it this way, you're able to keep it in the same location and kind of like do the dorms, which is more important, and then maybe down the road demolish the other dorms and upgrade the other things and stay.
The beauty, really to me, the beauty of it is, and Mr. Mike having a background in, you know, railroads and engineering, the beauty of this thing is we can use all the subterranean, I guess, infrastructure. We don't have to build a new water line, sewer line, gas line. It's already there. We just tap onto it. So we don't have to, let's say if we went out on 121 out there where the landfill is, we'd have to build all the infrastructure in there. The beauty of the thing and the cost savings of that is we're using that thing in addition to the fact that we're not having to build a support facility. And again, it's one of those things that you don't really want to have to do, but it's something that you need.
And one of the questions that y'all brought up with, what would those dorms be used for? One of those, we're pretty sure we will move a lot of the electronics out of a sprinkler room to help. That will take time, but it can be done.
And it's there, so I hate to admit that.
All right, any other questions? We thank y'all.
Thank you for the privilege every time. And thanks
Thank you very much.
Thanks for allowing us to serve y'all.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, we have a change in the program. We're going to take a 5-minute bathroom break. Mayor Hollingsworth, 5 minutes. Okay, okay. Take 10. Session.
Thank you.
Mayor Hollingsworth, when you're ready.
All right. First of all, let me say thank you for rescheduling me from last week to this week. I had a town council meeting last week, and I appreciate you working with me. Our project is only submitted one. It's relatively simple. I did not do a PowerPoint. I brought some pictures to go through. I think I have 9 all total. But the whole purpose in asking for this project is simply it's not ADA compliant on the inside. You'll see pictures of where I took of the bathroom as we go through each picture. We have some drainage issues on the outside, which the first 2 pictures was also show. But the main purpose in doing this, we're limited as to what we can do in it. We have some issues that's made it unsafe to play on as a recreation gymnasium, so we asked for this project to change it to where we can have more like an activity center and more venues in that building. So to do it right, we felt like the best way to do it is do a complete upgrade to the building, including electrical, roofing, and other things. I'll go over the list in a little while, but just to start through the pictures, but I feel like that this will be a benefit and an asset to not only the Whitmire city, but the Whitmire community, not only for recreation, but other venues in the same building. Hopefully we can get it to where people will want to come to Whitmire and play basketball and attend other functions. But the first picture is just simply a shot of the outside of the building. It'll also, if you look under the blue doors on the first and second picture, that's where our drainage issue is. We had water get under the inside, and so hopefully with the roofing and new gutter system, we'll take care of the drainage. The second picture is just simply another angle of the front of the building. And we're looking for new doors, windows, and a whole ball of wax in this renovation. The third picture shows that it was erected in 1965. I do not know what all has been done to it since then. I know in the past 10 years we've done very little except maintain it. But that just shows the inside plaque that it was erected in 1965 and didn't have to take my word for it. The next picture, we talked about the bathroom. It shows the opening, and as you walk straight in, you'll see the brick wall, which makes it very non-ADA compliant. So that's the main reason for that picture. The next picture, number 5, is just a simple shot of the bathroom showing the condition of it and why we're asking for this project. You heard me mention safety. You can see where the tile and the floor itself, the playing floor, connects. Not only that section, but if I took pictures of all the way around, you'd see those places. So if we don't get the project, we're going to either have to fix that or close the gymnasium for play because of safety reasons. The last thing we want is any child to get hurt on our property or in one of our buildings. And you can see it further in the next picture down the edge. It's just a shot of the bleachers, which is on the list to be replaced. It's wide open, and while I'm on this picture, if you look at up in the corner of that heater, because we're asking for new heating and HVAC work to be done, if that's not an antique, I've never seen one. That's how long it's been there. And we have one of those in each corner. Picture number 8 is a shot of the roof, showing the skylight where we have roof leaks and also the stuff coming down out of the ceiling. And the last picture that I have is the outside back where it comes out of the back door down to the outside basketball court. It's not a good picture of it, but there's more than a 3-foot drop from there down to the basketball court, which means fencing would need to be installed along that, right below the yellow line, between that and the building. We shot that out of the back door because it was raining like cats and dogs. So that's the reason that picture's the way it is. I didn't take many more pictures. I had some more, but I chose these to bring. It pretty much shows what we're looking for, and some of the big items, of course, is the roof replacement, drainage improvements, HVAC work, electrical and plumbing are the big ones. Doors and windows if possible. So the ventilation louvers that's in there, I should have took a picture of those. It's just big ventilation fans in the end that pulls the air out. And everything else is, of course, the bleachers, scoreboard, and restore the floor. We're not asking to replace that floor at all. The playing floor itself should last from now on, just restore it and bring it in good condition. And then exterior improvement for ADA and rear fencing, which I just talked about, and the rest just cosmetically, the inside and outside. And that basically is our project. Except I can stand here and talk about it for 2 weeks. It's not going to change your mind whether we get funded or don't get funded. We're simply asking for it to benefit the town of Whitmire and its citizens and make it safe and usable for many, many other venues than what it's being used for now. Basically, it's a building sitting there. We're getting very little use out of it. We have our community center. This will give us another venue for more like an activity center for the town. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm not trying to be short. There's just not a lot to talk about when you got one simple building. It's not near as complicated as Mr. Foster's detention center. Pretty straightforward.
What's it being used for now?
Recreation basketball, basically only.
And what do you think could be there in addition to basketball if it was?
I have a new recreation director, and so far, great ideas and moving forward with those. We think we can put, recreation people seem to forget is for all ages. And so many places get geared to the young, they forget the older and the older and the older. So we feel like we can have bingo, we can have, even open it up to have a wedding in if somebody wanted to. Any activity, use it simply like a community center with a basketball court, basically, for the recreation. Any recreation activity can be held in that building. But I'm a firm believer that recreation's for all ages, not just one age group.
On your projection cost here, I don't see where HVAC is included. Did I overlook something?
The one that I'm looking at has HVAC rework. I don't know, you looking at the one that we filled out and sent in?
I'm looking at this one.
No, I'm not looking to air condition it.
Okay,
I'm not looking to air condition it, just heat it.
just heated.
Would
The
that
office
be the
would have the-
equipment? Because I was wondering about computers, why furnishing
It-
equipment?
It's not on this sheet.
I did two. I did one myself, and I didn't supply it to y'all, and then the engineer helped with the other one, and,
The only one that they have is the one that was part of the submission.
the one that we submitted.
Yes, sir. That's the only one that I have.
Okay.
It just shows $1 million.
Yeah,
No
million.
breakdown.
Yeah, I have that one. I have that one.
That's the only one that we have.
catch that, but okay.
If you
that's-
have another one, you send it to me, I can forward it to you.
I'll get a clean copy, send you the one that we did.
Okay, thank you.
I thought the engineer had this when he went through, but evidently he didn't or left it off, unless he's looking at it with some other thing, but that's fine, that's fine. That'll be a minor part of it. Basically, the gas is already there, it's a matter of installing new heaters.
So you think that HVAC cost is in that million?
It should be.
Okay.
What do you get, 1,380,000, is that what it is?
Yes, sir.
Minus engineering costs and others.
I'm sorry.
I honestly don't think it'll take that much, to be honest with you. I'd say, in my opinion, and the numbers that I've looked at with people on my own, I'd say between 800 and $1 million.
Now, sir, you said that very little maintenance has been done since 1965. If we vote to include this project,
I didn't say it that way, I hope.
well, my question, okay.
Upgrades.
okay.
I don't know about it, I said upgrades, I hope, but anyhow, we,
Well, how do you plan to maintain if we choose to include this project on the ballot?
it's like we do now. Whatever needs to be done, we'll do it. We've taken care of the bathrooms, kept them up, the floor up. We do work to it every year. I'm talking about as far as serious upgrades like the roof and so forth. We have not, there's probably been a roof put on it since then, but I don't know when it was put on. We had some major leaks, about 40 of them we had to get stopped temporarily, so we're asking for a new roof in this project.
Condition of the floors look excellent. The conditions of your floors look excellent.
That outside edge from the, where the dents are, the chip places, next between it and the tile flooring is down now, which I know it won't be tile going back in, but there and under the bleachers, and that just needs redoing.
Cosmetically, the thing that you're looking for is to have it rewired and to make the bathrooms where they're compliant. Is that right?
Upgrade the bathrooms, yes,
So
sir.
that's basically what you're asking for, a
Yes,
new
sir.
roof,
And electrical.
electrical rewiring, and to make the bathrooms suitable. And you feel you can do that for around 800,000?
I would believe I would be correct in saying that.
Okay.
I'm not an engineer, but I got some common sense.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? We thank you, Mayor Hollingsworth.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Like I said, I could stand here and talk for 9 months and it wouldn't change a thing. It's simple, pretty simple project, something that needs to be done, and I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, that concludes all of our presentations for tonight. We're down for public comments. Any? No public comments. Any other questions or comments from any of our commission members? We all good? All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment? Oh.
The next meeting is on Monday, May the 4th.
Second.
Second.
Right in front of you.
Second.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you will start your deliberations then. If there's information that you feel you need to answer a question prior to then, you'll contact me. I will get in touch with the presenter, see if we can get that for you and share it with all of the members. If you would like to discuss what your process may be when you start your deliberations, if you want to start whether you're scoring before then, or you want to do scoring at that meeting, and then do some combinations of numbers. Mr. Theodose is here tonight. He may have some information that could add, to the dollar amounts. You will have a more definite, as we go along, he gets more definite information. We're also seeking some advice from financial advisor on the bonding versus, pay-as-you-go and how that may work. So we'll have some more of that information for you at that meeting. If there's anything that you may need between
Is that meeting open to the public?
Yes, ma'am. All meetings have to be open to
Okay.
the public. I look for public comments. Like you can have that any part of your agenda, any portion of your agenda. As far as any presentations, unless there's something you ask for that to be done, the presentations are complete.
Okay.
If you have something you want to ask to one specifically, and we need to have them here, we can make arrangements with that group to make sure that they know what you're asking for, so that they'll be able to present it to the whole group. Everything will be done so that the entire group gets the same information.
I know when Prosperity was presenting, like all the parks, we had, I think, wanted like a somewhat of a priority
I
list.
think they said they wanted.
Tomorrow night, it's
Okay.
on the agenda, and we'll get that information to you.
Okay.
Meeting's over tomorrow night.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, and Theo has something to add?
Okay.
too?
Thanks, Kira. Thank all of y'all for sitting through all this. It's really been physically handsome, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. Just one thing as you start, now that you've heard it all, thinking about it, there are a couple of questions here tonight which may figure into your thinking. One thing the law does require, which is if you're going to fund a project, but it's going to require more money than what you're giving on the ballot, okay? Then the ballot has to state where the other part of the funding is coming from. And I'll have to look back at the notebook in my notes, but I don't think that anybody has said, what's that? You use the microphone.
Oh, right, Mr. Works is on Zoom. Yeah.
I see.
Okay.
Well, I'll get right to my point, is that state law requires that if you're going to put a project on the ballot, what's been presented to you is a greater number, and you know it's going to need more money than you're allowing. The ballot has to show the source of any additional funding required for the project. So I think that makes it very difficult conceptually, just to say, well, let's give everybody some percentage of what they asked for, because they haven't told you. I think they were asked to in the materials to say, if you need more money for this project, let us know where it is. So I don't think it's in the purview of this committee to just arbitrarily assign a percentage to any one or more projects to say, well, we'll fund you 80%, because they haven't told you any other source. I mean, you could go back and ask, but just trying to treat everybody and sort of show them a little thing, but give them 80% or 75% really doesn't work. Now, that's not to say where a project is several discrete components, where there are different parts of it that could be funded as a whole project and it gets done, then you could think about it that way. But not pick on my friends here, but you just can't fund half a wastewater treatment plant, because half a wastewater treatment plant is no wastewater treatment plant. That's clear. I mean,
Are you
again,
saying that if you have, a presenter had 5 things he wanted to do, and this board determined out of the 5, there was one where it was documented the amount of money, we can't do that?
no, you could do that. You're not getting my meaning.
Well,
I
that
think
was the point.
one presenter actually showed up 4 times. All the projects happened to be in the same geographic location at the park in Little Mountain, but they're separate and discrete. So you could fund 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those, or none. But you can't give the city of Newberry half an amphitheater, for example, because they haven't
Oh,
identified.
absolutely, I think about it, yeah.
See what I mean? I just, don't think about being nice to everybody, but you don't fund anybody to the project cost that they've identified. And we'll also talk about inflation as well when we get down to the nitty-gritty, but just wanted you to have that concept in your mind as it starts sinking in.
Now, in the case of Prosperity, all of their parks are in one presented project. If they decided to prioritize their projects and the commission thought about 3 or 4 of the 6 that are in there,
I think
they
you
would
need to.
either have to take out those that aren't funded or have funding sources for those that the CPST would not fund.
I think you need to have a conversation that, just to use that example, where they had 3 or 4 parks. Because what needs to go on the ballot, if you arrive that you can only do 2 of their 4 parks, the ballot needs to say what parks those are, I think. Okay, just, I don't think you're giving the public enough information to say. Town of Prosperity Parks. They named 3 or 4, so I think you ought to put on the ballot the name of the parks you're actually intending to fund and have that conversation with them. There are no rules here. You can have further conversations with officials from these other jurisdictions and with the county if you need to do that.
Based on what you say, just like the last presenter, he had a package that was written up for $1.38 million and said he could do it for $800,000. What do you do?
That's a good question. I would make him demonstrate to you. He gave you a budget. I'd make him.
I'm just going with what he asked for. He said 800,000, he could do the project, and it was written up for 1.385, if I remember the numbers right. Already closed my book.
Okay, I haven't seen his budget. Karen, does he have a line item budget for that?
It is in just the submission.
And what does it add up to, his line
It
item
adds up
budget?
on here to 1.38,
I wouldn't put that.
which was the engineer's
Yeah,
estimate.
I would, if you wanted to give him 800, what he
I'm just
said.
using that as a hypothetical.
Well, sure, but you understand that you've got in front of you something from Alliance Engineering that says it's gonna cost this.
Well, do we need to get him to reduce the amount that he's requesting?
And I would get it from an
If that would be
engineer.
the case?
And I would get it from the engineer to submit it. Because where this process started off in this county 20-something years ago is all the projects were funded.
So,
The engineer put those numbers together and has not laid eyes on the building to my knowledge.
Okay. It's not too late to,
I didn't know you were still here. I apologize.
I'm in your way, sorry. Y'all can have a discussion about that.
so could we get another line item from the engineer?
Because they
Oh,
just.
he's here. Oh,
Yeah, because they just
Oh, okay.
chucked it 1 million.
Right.
And we don't know where that 1 million's going.
As we all know, project costs have increased significantly. You've heard a lot of people say the engineer's costs are too high. That's fine, we're used to hearing that. And the reason being is because of what Theo touched on. The sponsoring entity has to sign off that when you put something on that ballot, that it will be built for that number. So you might have gotten a number a year ago, 2 years ago that might have worked, but what are you gonna do if that project isn't built for 5 years? That's where there are contingencies built into the estimates, and there are numbers that are associated with anticipating costs to go up. So what we would suggest, what we've had experience with in the past, for the example that you asked about, if you get extremely specific on the improvements, they have to list that. Or you can have that list, you as the commission get to determine what that is listed as. You can say this is $800,000 towards that project and just talk about gym improvements. You don't necessarily have to list everything that they have on their wish list. That allows them to do a portion of that project. So I think that's where you need to talk through as a body and determine what that scope needs to be. But you need to be very careful about costs being used that are from, example, the roof on the museum. The cost was $400,000 2 years ago. Now it's almost $800,000.
604 for the air conditioner.
Right.
Okay.
So costs are extremely out of control right now. If I knew when they would stabilize, I would probably not be working every day because I would be able to predict the future. But we have to plan on the fact that they are going to continue to increase, because we've all gotten used to paying these prices, and suppliers aren't going to just out of the kindness of their heart then lower those numbers. So you have a tough job as the members of this commission. You've heard a lot of, and that's the job of those presenters to say that, but it is our job to help protect you as a commission with numbers that we feel are sufficient to build these projects. So we're happy to revisit anything that's associated with it, but we stand firm in that we've vetted these projects. No, I haven't been to Mayor Hollingsworth. There was not time to visit that in the time allotted, but happy to go and visit that gym and take a look at it. We did visit several of the other facilities when called upon to do that, and happy to go see his as well.
I don't really know who this question is for, but
Right.
what if we gave him 1.38 million and then he did it for 800,000? Then what happens with the rest of the money?
That would be Mr. Thiel.
It's available to me, cost overruns on other projects.
Okay.
Yep.
10%? 10% cost overrun? Is that what's allowable?
Right.
Pardon? What'd you say?
He's,
Available to me 1,000% cost overrun.
so what he's saying is, so let's just say the project does come in at the 800,000. You can't then use that other 538,000 for other bonus projects. It goes to the next project on the list for the others that are on the ballot itself.
He would be capped at whatever,
Mhm.
he would be capped at whatever the $800,000 was spent to complete whatever his project scope was. And it came in at 800,000 and they could complete it for 800,000. They would not get the 1.3. They would get the 800,000. The remaining would just move forward either to whatever an overrun may be of the rest of the projects, or if there are no overruns, it move forward to the next iteration.
Yeah, and there's other ones that you can even do on your referendum if you list additional projects. Let's just say you want to fund 25 million of it or whatever, then you can have some reserve projects that are down lower on that referendum. It could start to fund those additional projects. And that applies for if the penny overperforms as well. So if the penny produces more money than anticipated and you don't have projects listed, then that's going to go back in. It gets a little more into the weeds. I'll let Theo talk on that about what county council could do with that. But you can have kind of your main list and then the alternate list in the instance of those cases where if projects came in under, that can start funding those future projects.
The 2010 capital project sales tax had 3 projects. There were bonds issued, 15 projects. 3 projects. There, in case there was money, but sales tax collection. They don't get funded. It's just they're commerce part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they also have to wait. The other ones.
And Theo, we can split a project if it's, someone presented it, say, like a road and extension, and the money amounts are there, or a roof and air condition, and we have the amounts, we can say, oh, we can choose to fund some, but not all.
Well, I think the easiest one's to split up with the recreational projects. The mayor, Newberry said their priority is the splash pad. That's the easy, but I don't think you can part of the splash pad without explaining where the rest of the money for the splash pad would come from.
But like the museum had
Yeah,
like,
that
the
had
museum was like the roof
and air
and
conditioner
the,
separate.
Yeah, what we've done in the past is the commission would ask that question back to the entity itself. So for the museum instance, they might say, well, we don't want to do the HVAC without the roof. So if we're going to choose something, we prefer the roof first. That way we've protected our house and our investment. They talked about the artifacts getting damaged in their presentation. So maybe they wouldn't want to do the HVAC without the roof, but they might say, well, we'll do the roof, and then maybe later on we can get the HVAC. Since they're the ones signing off on that, you just got to ask that question back to them, because the last thing we want to do is have it funded on the referendum, but then that sponsoring entity says, well, I don't even want to do it. I can't do my project without that reduced amount.
And you want to make sure that, think you're dividing up something that makes sense. I'd ask him if one is integral to the other.
Cool,
Say, rely on
absolutely.
common engineering or design, something like that.
Well, the numbers for this capital campaign are not finite to begin with. We started off, it was, I think, 32 million, I think, available, and we're now talking 30 million, is that correct?
30 to 33 in my mind.
Yeah, but so it's not finite. the
But
amount.
it's gonna be finite.
When?
Well, what has to be on the ballot is a finite number.
Yeah. You know, what I was talking about, 10% in the business world, you're allowed that on projects, 10% overrun, most of the time with all businesses.
There's a policy question about whether you beyond what they've done in the projects you pick, you say, well, you ought to add another 10%. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's a policy decision for you folks. But in the deep dark past, we wouldn't have one project that was probably being missed. Let's just say project cost that was on the ballot was 50% of what it really did cost. Savings on other projects are available. There's no, you don't time out or money out. If you were 50% under and there's savings in another part of the ballot available, then we'll go fund that 50% delta that somebody missed.
Okay. Any other questions? Concerns?
So if you have questions, that either the engineer, if they may be directed specifically, something needs to be to the engineer, something we need an answer from Theo for, or any one of the municipalities that presented, if there's something we can communicate to them, if we need to bring them back. I'm sure each one of them would be willing to come back for anything, or if there's something we need to gather, especially before your next meeting, if there's something you think about, let me know. We'll be in contact with each one of them to make sure that you have the best information you can have to be able to prepare a ballot.
So, I'm just thinking, I think for our homework before May 2nd, we really need to sit down and see how we're going to prioritize them. And then we'll meet back together as a group, preliminary.
You can do that in your first deliberation. You can also schedule another meeting if you want to. You have 3 meetings scheduled before you have to make your final decision. There's also a day between that last meeting and the day before county council has to have it. There are days all in between that can be scheduled if needed. So I don't know which way to suggest to you would be the best. You have a scoring sheet for each project. You may need to, based on the numbers I put on them, especially when it comes to the Little Mountain, you definitely need to add those corrected numbers to Little Mountain. And if I have mistyped something in one of those, for those score sheets, if there's a question in that score sheet, those are just for guidelines. There's nothing that is finite about that scoring sheet. It's just to give you ideas to think about.
Okay.
So you can always provide more copies for that meeting or for another time. I would be glad to provide that with you. I can send you a blank template, if that would be beneficial. We can go through, when you have your next meeting, if you've got preliminary numbers, we can create preliminary ballots based on the numbers you have to see what you come up with as a whole. Any kind of way you have an idea, we'll accommodate to the best that we can during that. To help make your decision process a little easier. So any thoughts that you have toward that, please relay them, and we'll do what we can for that.
Okay. We good? All right. We are good. Oh, my motion for adjournment. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.